You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Yo, man, I'm on vacation hangover right now. Mike just came back.
I saw all the pictures.
Yeah, came back from a little vacay in Lake Tahoe. It was actually pretty nice to get away. Beaches were packed, Mike. I felt like everybody was outside, just checking out, like not being inside. So, a little bit scary, but I gotta tell a quick story. So I flew into Reno, and this was the first time in my life I've ever flown into Reno with no bowling going on or no bowling tournaments or anything. So I went and rented a car, and I had to pick my friend up who's staying at El Dorado in downtown Reno. He came in the night before. He said, I'll just stay close to the airport. Come pick me up. I said, okay. Yeah, I had a couple hours. Slumming it. Had a couple hours to kill. So I go to Reno. I park the car in El Dorado, and I walk around the casino. Mike, the city was a fucking ghost town. It's like 10 a.m. on a Friday morning. Dude, it was to the point where, like, I don't think the homeless people wanted to even be there. Like, it was so shot. Like, I could have got mugged and killed in the middle of the blackjack, like, room where all the tables were, and nobody would have even known I was dead for probably a couple hours. And it's pretty scary because this is like a city that was supposed to be like the mecca of bowling, and like all this just action was supposed to be going down in Reno. And Mike, I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say it. I don't think Reno, I don't think the casinos in the city is gonna last through this pandemic, and I don't see even the stadium even being there in 3 to 5 years. Honestly, I'm going out on a limb, but from what I saw on a Friday, the weekend before Labor Day, dude, I don't know how
it's going to be there. Whether it gets much use or not is another question, but it's going to be there. I mean, they just redid the whole thing. So, yeah, like I would imagine it's going to be there for a while. They're going to try and draw business there. But, Rob, I think here's where I'm at with that. The powers that be in bowling made a bad bet on Reno. I mean, Reno was shitty back in 1998 when we went there for junior gold the first time. I mean, it was kind of whack. So, like, I don't know. I feel like the powers that be in bowling maybe made a bad bet on Reno, but that's the reputation it has, right? And it's been that way for a while. So,
I know. I just had to just comment on it because, I mean, I've never seen something that bad. And my friend was saying, like, he was walking around in the city like the night before. It was like 5 or 6 p.m. And he was the only one on the street walking. And he would get harassed by like 3 to 4 homeless people. And he just was like, felt unsafe at 5 p.m. like on a Thursday. So, like, dude, like, I don't know, like, how they could survive this. And we all know the city was shitty pre-COVID, right? But post-COVID, I mean, we know I think it's speeding up a lot of deaths. And I mean by that, by speeding up a lot of businesses that were kind of on the way out. And it's just giving it a shot in the arm to close. And I think Reno is going to be one of those casualties. Honestly, I really believe it. So in 3 to 5 years comes, let's hope I don't have to say I told you so. But, Reno needs more than a ball contract, dude. Reno needs some of that Bolero money, bro.
It needs some Narcan.
It needs some steroids. It needs some, name some other drugs that could kickstart that city. But it needs one of those jolts.
So, like, just for a second, right? Imagine bowling stadium in another location.
Vegas.
Right? like Vegas. Okay, that would be a good example. Or you know what? I'm going to give a less like popular example, but one that I think I'll explain why I would feel that way. Like put it in maybe somewhere like Indianapolis, okay, which I've heard is a decent city in the Midwest.
Dude.
Okay, decent place to visit. You know, they've had Super Bowls there, etc. All right, or like a St. Louis. Dude. You know, something of that nature.
Spots.
Where
what about Detroit?
And the reason I say that, Rob, is because you know Nationals are going to be there often, right? And you have people traveling from all over the place. You know, why not make it in the middle of the country so everybody feels like they have an equal travel situation every few years when it's there. But I want to say what's up to the people in the chat. Joey Bell Bottoms, every week viewer. Joey Bell Bottoms is in the house. Robert Hamilton, what's good? Anybody else who's in the chat, join us, jump in. We want to hear the comments. We love throwing them up. It's kind of what we're here for. It's our interactive Wednesday night show. We got a guest for the people, Rob.
Yo, fresh off the win, man.
Let me tell you something. Let me say something. East Coast-wise, northeast section of the country, Matt O'Grady's the best bowler out here. And honestly, it ain't close. If he shows up to an event, you might as well bet on him against the field if it's out here. That's and he goes on tears that are amazing. He's been on one lately. He's won a few events, but yeah, Rob, he won the regional this weekend. We're going to review
some regional
results. Our first guest ever.
It was, man. He put us on the map, dude.
How much love do we have for our first guest, right? We were two idiots trying to start a podcast. We were like, who can we call that will sort of take us seriously, but if it's a train wreck, they won't mind. And I was like, Matt O'Grady, no doubt. That's who we're getting, and that's who the first guest was. So let's bring him on. We're reminiscing, but let's bring him on. OG, what's good?
It's good to be here, boys. That's right. I was your first guest. Man, that was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago. We're coming up on 2 years. Big thing. So, we appreciated it back then. We appreciate it again tonight. Obviously, we always appreciate it when the homies come through. So, regional win this weekend, man. Tell us about it.
Oh, man, I start off in game 3. I was looking at my phone for tee times. I was getting ready to leave the bowling center. I was terrible. And I just made a ball change, went to the car. I said to myself, you have to throw it differently from what you're doing now. You suck right now. And a guy in my pair was bowling great. He was throwing it really slow and straight. So I just tried to throw it as slow as I could. And immediately I looked like I had the big funnel going right to the pocket. And after that, it was a wrap. I didn't bowl game under 218. And then 230 was my second lowest game after that. It just clicked. So I was able to get regional title number 7 and my 10th victory on the PBA tour since I've been out there.
Okay. This was a one-day event.
That's right. The East region has now gone to, they have 6 this year, one-day events. And I think a lot of that was around that some of the Northeast states, Jersey, New York, and Connecticut were putting 24-hour travel bans on visiting other states, Delaware, Maryland, even Rhode Island was on there. So I think the East region director Russ Mills kind of condensed the schedule a little bit just so he can get players to come on out and play.
So what was the format, Matt?
It was 7 games qualifying, which is one shorter than a normal regional. And then they cut to the top 12, which there were 62 entries to the top 12. And then you bowled 8 games around robin. No step ladder, total pins, done right there.
Okay. So, I mean, you really had to put together quite a run there then, because the entire event was based on total pins.
Yeah, that's right. And the boys were striking. I think leading qualifier was Brandon Runk with plus 327. And I had gotten to 5th at 185 after minus 55 or minus 51 after 3 games.
Minus 51 after 3.
What did you switch to?
Hold on. Wait. Minus 51 after 3. He just said that he was 140 something out of first after the cut. 8 games of round robin match play. I mean, woof, man, that's some chasing, dog.
I don't know exactly what my average was, but I think I was over 242 for the entire tournament. and that included 3 games under 188.
Wow. Okay.
Probably the back 11 games were like 259 average. It just clicked. Rob, I threw a Storm IQ Tour Emerald, which is funny because the other day I had put 360 grit on it in my basement. And I'm just like, this ball, it never really works for me. I'm going to grind the surface and maybe I get some use out of it once this weekend. And boom.
Fuck that ball.
Yeah, I hate that ball.
Why we feel that way?
Screw that ball.
You want to know why we feel that way? I don't care what you average with that ball. The ball can kiss my ass because we bet $1,400 again on Kyle Troop against Pete Weber, and he used that ball. Ball couldn't carry for shit. Throw that ball in the river, son. That's what I say.
Put it away. Care. The one win ball. Put it away. Never hear from it ever again.
Might as well put it on the shelf. Put it on the shelf.
I didn't use that ball for the whole tournament. Now they re-oiled after qualifying in the match play, and the lanes were hooking a ton off the back end and actually to the right. Like if you threw it up 4 or 5 board, it would jerk too hard and it would go face. So boom, urethane was in play for a lot of guys in between 5 and 10.
360 grit,
like
huh?
You know, stink with the urethane ball.
I was gonna say
more than a triple on like a 33-foot pattern. But magically, I've been practicing it, and I've been getting my hand in that spot where, my track comes up a little bit, and I can get it to read early, and I struck a bunch. But I was plus 330 for 6 with the pitch black to start match play.
360 grit. Mike, he's gashing everybody on the pair. Were you playing 2 hours left of everyone, too, using 360?
That's affirmative, sir.
Well, I should get people. I wish I would have known that. I would have grabbed some people that were on your pair to have them on too, so they could completely fucking trash you. Because, dude, when I crossed with TO at the World Series of Bowling, man, that's all I dealt with was him using 300 grit playing.
Oh God, you hear this dude?
Yep.
Are you like you see what he's doing on the low? What he's really doing is he's really saying, see, if I didn't have to bowl with T.O., I would have bowled better. If I bowled better that World Series, who knows what happened.
Dude,
that's what he wants us
I would have
won
thinking. 2 titles that week.
Let's be clear. It wouldn't have mattered if you bowled with Bill O'Neill, Chris Barnes, and Tommy Jones, and they told you where to play. It wouldn't have been much different.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I would have won at least 2 titles.
Yeah,
this
true.
Is all the bowlers do, man. They all blame their unsuccessfulness on other people. They deflect all bad juju.
Exactly. I blamed everybody I blamed everyone but myself. Don't worry.
True. Matt, we want to hear. We've talked a lot over the last few months about bowling and COVID. So I guess go wherever you want with it. But what have you been? I know you're always thinking about bowling. You're always thinking about it in various ways. What are your thoughts on this COVID situation and bowling in general? Go wherever you want with it.
Well, I mean, I had already been injured and sitting on my couch for 3 weeks from the PBA Tour when COVID first broke out in early March. And my wife, not many of you know, but she was a pediatric nurse that got moved to the emergency room a week before the outbreak began. And it was rough for her. It was rough in this household because she'd never been in the emergency room, yet now it's a pandemic. So that first month was very scary. There was the media was blasting this thing like it was the next plague. And she's right at the front line. She had to wear 2 masks and full gown gear for 12 hours. Her poor little face was red. I mean, she couldn't breathe. Well, I had so much hurt in my heart for her. She was putting people in body bags every single night. A patient would come in decent health, and then 12 hours later, by the end of her shift, that patient had died. It was literally happening that quickly. However, this ended very quickly. Just a month was probably the worst. And now her hospital has not seen a COVID patient for 3 to 4 weeks. So obviously Jersey's past it. The pandemic's starting to filter into those less populous areas. And I feel like if you have not gotten it yet, you're not getting it. It's over. So I think bowling, obviously we all congregate very close in the centers. So we're at a high rate, and obviously government officials realize that. That's why so many bowl centers are late to open up. But I think we should all be back to normal operating hours and events by now. This is just drawn out for a little bit too long, if you ask me.
Tell the governor of Michigan that. I just saw them they're still keeping the bowling alleys closed, and California too, I think is still shut down, and now it's becoming political. And I hate to say it, but it went from like being like people, we're concerned about everyone being sick, and now it turned into a political statement, and it's just fucking a lot of people up, especially with businesses in those states.
Without a doubt, I agree with you, Rob. I mean, there's so many people that their businesses are just crumbling right in front of their eyes. They can't do anything about it.
It's crazy. I can't stand it. I mean, I've been in Nevada for 3 months. The bowling alleys have been open for 3 months. The gyms have been open for 3 months. Everybody's busy, packed, but we're wearing masks. And I mean, it's been fine. It's been, there hasn't been outbreaks, and nobody's really. And why is California different than Nevada? I mean, it was literally a 3-hour drive. So what's the difference between the bowling centers and gyms in Nevada compared to California? I mean, it's really like Vegas is just as busy as some of the cities in California, but it's just politics now, and I hate it. And I don't want to get into it because I want to keep this as a bowling show, but it is a serious topic in the bowling world, right? Sure. It's going to be, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, my concern still is sort of like how long it's going to take to rebound from this. I mean, you see centers opening, you see events going on, et cetera, but are people going to be that quick to get back into it? Are centers really going to have the numbers that they need? There's also kind of stipulations for how to do things. Like, for instance, my league just announced this week that they're going to be bowling, the sport league that I bowl in the winter. I mean, Matt, you sub with us once in a while, but you have to wear a mask while you bowl, and there's no food and drink. And let's be honest, like a lot of guys that go to bowl,
What's the point of bowling league?
Well, that's it, right? They go to bowl to have a good time and have a few beers. That's not me. I don't really drink, so like that, particularly, especially during the week. But a lot of guys do, and I understand that. They have a few beers while you're bowling or afterwards. Now you can't have that. So I'm kind of concerned. Like, all right, if those are the stipulations that are going to be in place, like that's going to take a lot of people who would normally be a yes and probably turn them to a no. So it's something that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on. So. Matt, we don't want to keep you here all night, so we're going to throw this last question out to you, and you can give us your answer, and then we'll Rob, I guess we'll let him go, and we'll kind of continue the conversation.
Sure.
But there's been a lot of talk, Matt, about, and there hasn't really been any announcements yet, and COVID has a lot to do with it, obviously. We're going to cut the PBA some slack with the COVID situation, so that almost goes without saying. But there's been a lot of talk about revamping the regional program and improving the regional program, right? And obviously, again, like one-day events right now because of COVID and travel restriction, we get all that. We're not criticizing in that, in this environment. But here's what we want to talk about, because you are like a full-time regional player. You're always at the regionals, et cetera. So obviously, it's something that you know a lot about. From your perspective, from the player's perspective, give us one or two things that you'd like to see done when you think about improving the regional system?
Well, if you compare, apples to apples, the regional tour versus the national tour, you got to compare games, right? And in a lot of regionals, those 3-day events where you have practice session on Friday and qualifying Saturday, match play Sunday on the finals, you'd end up bowling 21, 22 games potentially. And just to win a regional title worth $2,500, right? Which it is prestigious and it's a heck of an accomplishment. But then you can go bowl on the national tour and you can bowl 2/3 of the games and you win a title in 15 games in certain events. So I'd like to see maybe the regionals stick with the 1-day program where you can award 2 regional titles in 1 day and have more opportunities for players to maximize their profit. They cash 1 out of 2 events, they can still break even instead of just 1 event for the weekend. Whereas when you compare that to the national tour, it can't be worth the same amount of games, right? The national tour title has to be more, like we saw in the past, right? 14 games is not a good indicator of who's going to win a title. Regional title, perfect. National title, it should be double the games. So I'm sure that there's a lot of folks that can agree with me on that one. And I guess secondly, we got to do a better job of promoting it at the grassroots level. Non-member entries could account for a lot of the entries that come in. We should host more win-a-spots in-house. So therefore, you get the regular local bowlers that, hey, you know what, I want to try my luck against the pros. There's a lot of folks who won't try their luck against the pros because they just feel like pros are better, which, in New Jersey, there's a lot of talented bowlers that could probably beat most of the guys on the PBA regional tour. But it's just that stigma that they won't take that first step. They won't take that leap into competition. And whether it may be because the entry fee is $285 for a non-member, and then if you cash twice, you gotta become a member, and that's fearful for them. Whatever it may be, I'd like to see more people taking a shot, and the amateur stipulation be a little bit easier for people to bypass, if you will.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said.
How do you feel about the? I know a lot of people think, some amateurs shouldn't be allowed to be bowling in professional events, but let's face it, entries are entries in our sport. We need them to garner a decent prize fund and to put on a successful event.
That's a whole bigger issue because if you're paying amateurs, then you know there's a gray line between being amateur and being pro. And that's a big difference in a lot of sports, where a lot of sports you don't pay amateurs, right? So you have to go pro in order to make money. And I feel like that's a whole nother.
Amateurs are getting paid everywhere in bowling, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Everywhere.
I'm saying, like, that's where the gray line is you could be an amateur and still bowl a couple regionals, which is fine, but a lot of people aren't pro because they're still able to bowl amateur and still make money being amateur. Well, that was even a major issue when the high rollers were going on, and guys like Timmy Mack and Brian Kretzer would be able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, which we've interviewed them bowling world team challenges and high rollers. Now, not so much, but there's still an issue in the sport because of the amateurs allowed to make money, and it's definitely it decreases the PBA membership because of it, honestly. So it'd be interesting to see if the USBC all of a sudden said, if you're an amateur, you can't make any money. I'd be curious to see how many people instantly would get their pro card. So, I mean, that's a whole bigger debate that one day we could get into, but I feel like it's still, a pretty big, it is an issue in our sport because we're one of the only sports that you can get money as an amateur.
Yeah, I think I like what Matt had to say about trying to grow it, from the grassroots level. Like,
sure.
I could picture, I'd like to see some sort of, I'm going to use the word pipeline from like high level league bowling to the regional experience. I feel like there's a big disconnect there where you get to a certain point in league bowling and then you have to go and find out where all the competitive stuff is on your own. Right. Whereas if there was that pipeline put in place, you'd constantly have high level league bowlers getting an opportunity to go and bowl a regional. I don't know how you do that. You give them a free entry maybe, or you make it a little bit easier for them to enter. Some of them are going to have a terrible experience. Others are going to have a decent experience and come back and they're going to get bit by that bug and go in that direction. The other thing I'd like to see is, again, a pipeline from the regional program to the national tour. It seems to me like you bowl regional, but what's the reward? It's the regional titles, it's the cashing in the regionals, but to me it should almost be like a farm system, where when you're identifying talent down at the regional level, you give them an easier pipeline to get to the national level to try it out and see if they have success there. So, to me that's definitely two things they can think about, but I'm interested to see what they do because they've talked a lot about it. And, I'm just, other than hearing ideas from the bowlers like Matt or, ideas that we have, I'm just interested to see how they choose to improve the regional program in general. So we'll have to keep an eye on it going forward. But Matt, listen, keep doing your thing, homie. Keep hitting those regionals, keep winning those regionals. We appreciate the time as always. And our first guest comes back around. Rob, we've come full circle now.
I know. Now we get to see. Now we get to see him instead of listening to him. By the way, Matt, looking good, man. Curls for the girls. My brother posted on the wall, man. Yeah, look at that, dude. You see that happens when you when you're married to a girl who lives in the gym, man. Forces to get your ass in the gym.
Are you trying to tempt me to take my shirt off, son? Is that what you're
Oh
trying to do?
God,
Are you
please
trying
don't.
to tempt me to take my
Jesus
shirt off,
Christ.
Doug? Please.
Jesus Christ.
No, but listen, thank the wife for us for being out there on the front lines. We
For sure.
Obviously, say what's up to Jolie, and we hope she's safe and good. We always enjoy having you on, brother. Safe travels, and I always see you around, so we'll keep it like that. But congrats on the regional win again, homie.
All right, Matt.
Thanks. Pleasure being on the show. Much success in the future, and maybe next year you'll have me back for what 1,000th or 2,000th show. Maybe I'll
no earlier than that. Earlier than that. And let's get his plugs in. Get his plugs in. Storm.
Yeah, I'm wearing the shirt right here. They got the best balls on the market. They made me a better player. I wear the best shoes, Dexter. Vice inserts, Logo Infusion jerseys, and Genesis finger tapes. Not that you ever need them products from a internet e-tailer. Go to bowlerx.com.
Okay.
There it is.
You heard it. You heard the people that are supporting Matt. Matt, thank you, man. And
all right, Matt.
We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Later.
Yeah, so always good to hear from Matt. We have a lot of comments, Rob. We have a lot of comments. We got you talk. Let's bring up some comments.
I got a strong opinion on the regional circuit, and I kind of feel like I need to say my piece because of how I feel like the PBA regional circuit is broken in a lot of ways. And look, I lived in Southern California for about 10 years. And if anybody is bowls out of the Southern California area and wants to bowl regionals, dude, the region's way too big. Like at one time I sat there at work when I was bored and I did the math, right? And how much it would cost me to travel to a region for a regional that maybe was like 600 miles from SoCal. A lot of the regionals in California are in Northern California, Oregon, some in Washington, and Central California if we're lucky, right? Did the math. If I finished in the top 5 and I traveled by myself, I would maybe break out even or maybe win a couple $100. Okay. I would have to find a travel buddy, right? I would have to miss work on Friday if I was a weekend warrior because I'd have to drive 500 or 600 miles, right? Gas, hotel, Friday night. That's not like Ian Lang, exactly. $285 to cash for 100, not counting travel, food. I did the math. You have to finish in the top 5, okay? Some regions have to be smaller. There has to be more of them. They have to make it so that most of the country could get to regionals with a max of maybe 8-hour drive. Okay. Once you go past a 6-hour drive, then you're losing entries because Mike, I want to be able to go to work Friday and then leave right after work Friday at like 5 o'clock and make it there but to the hotel maybe by 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Really, I have to miss work every time Friday to literally go bowl regional. It's just it wasn't worth me having my card because the only regions in Southern California were Vegas, maybe one in SoCal, and then Central California, maybe 2 out of the 15 they would have or 20 a year. I would have to live centrally located.
What it sounds like to me is you're saying they need to keep more in mind that it's the weekend warrior, right?
Yes.
That for the most part, it's the guy who works Monday through Friday, full-time job, going out there on the weekend to bowl and kind of keep that in mind. I mean, I think that's a fair point, Rob. I think that perhaps that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. Can I respond to a couple comments real quick?
Yeah.
Smart ass Matt Sherman over here, my homie from college bowling. I understand that the average 230 league bowler stinks. I've talked about that at length on here, but you have to admit that once in a while you would get somebody who gets bit by the bug, even if they have a bad experience, and continues on. So that's what I mean by giving those people a little bit of an easier chance. Dougie active in the chat tonight. Dougie's all over, by the way. Mad action going on left and right. yeah, you share, they tell them to leave, but people don't stick around forever. But come on, we're here, son. We're here, please. Dave says more regions. You agree with that? I think, Rob. Yes.
Yeah, I do, and I feel like you're on you were on the right path about a pipeline into the national tour. I feel like there's no, I don't know what a word I'm looking for, but there's no training ground for someone who works and wants to become a national touring pro. I feel like there has to be also a more of regionals have to be geared towards more of the league bowlers and local players, because we always talk about how league bowlers are league bowlers and they average 230 and they don't go anywhere else, right? Their house, all I'm saying is their PBA has to try to convert a lot of those league bowlers into PBA regional bowlers, right? And that's the hard part. How do you do that? Mike, if I had that answer, I would be working for the PBA, I'd be working for Bolero. I don't have that answer, but that's what they have to focus on, because there's a lot of league bowlers, right? You can go to some of these local scratch leagues and you're getting 5 on a 10 on a pair. I mean, I'm talking pre-COVID, 10 on a pair, and the houses were filled at 40 teams. How many of those bowlers bowl regionals, Mike? Out of the 200 bowlers in a 40-team league, what?
No, I
5
agree
maybe?
with you. I agree with you.
You have to try to find a way to convert those league bowlers into regional bowlers. How do you do that? Maybe give winner spots, right, during league.
Right.
Maybe
That's
the PBA needs.
that's kind of what I was suggesting. Like,
Yeah.
find a way to make it easier for those people to at least get that experience. And I understand, like Matt's saying in the chat, a lot of those people are going to have a really bad experience, and that's fine. At least they get an education about what's really going on out there. Maybe they don't go back to their league and run their mouth as much. But at the same time, I think you'd have other people who, even if they have a bad experience, get bit by the bug and kind of get into it. And that, that's kind of what you need.
Yeah, and here's a good point, because my brother makes a good point, right? It's true. If these guys, imagine going, look, picture this, right, real quick. A regional is getting hosted in a bowling center in Vegas. Okay, the guy who runs the pro shop bowls a regional, goes 300 under. Okay, how does that look for a guy who runs the pro shop or is a local pro? It looks terrible. Nobody's going to want to go in there and get a ball drilled. I mean, yeah, he could be a better ball driller than he is a bowler.
Yeah, to me, that has more to do with the lack of knowledge out there than it does the.
Plus, there's no money. The time,
any ball driller,
dude. The time is crazy. You got to spend literally Friday all day traveling, Saturday bowling. Hopefully, you make it Sunday, and then you have to leave Sunday night or take Monday off to go. Dude, the travel and the time isn't worth the money.
His idea was a good idea. Matt's idea was a good idea, like to have 2 tournaments in one weekend, 2 one-day events. So even if you're bowling the same schedule, you're bowling 2 tournaments, 2 prize funds, et cetera. Obviously you take a little bit more money to do that. Maybe they could even set it up where you go to 2 different centers in the same area on 2 different days.
It's smart because you guarantee these guys 2 days of bowling at least.
Right.
Dude, what if I travel 700 miles and I bowl 140 the first game?
Right, for 8 games, yeah.
Honestly, like I've done it. Everybody who's a bowler has done it. Has bowled 140 the first game. Everybody has done it. Me personally, I've won in 500 million brackets and always bowl 140 the first game. But at least it gives me a chance to be like, okay, let me regroup, come back Sunday, bowl new tournament. And at least you get 2 days bowling off your travel expenses. Yeah, it's a fair point, right?
No, it is. I just real quick want to run down some other regional action from the weekend. There's not much professional bowling going on, so we do want to highlight what is out there. 10-Pin Alley Midwest Open. Rob, AJ Johnson, the winner. You know who that's on, brother. You know who gets credit for that W, baby. You know what happens when you come on Sweep the Rack. Come on Sweep the Rack, you produce immediate results. Okay?
That's true.
It's a proven fact. All right? He was the guest host, and boom, wins next week. AMF Woodlawn Lanes Open was what O'Grady won. Danny Wiseman with an appearance there, Rob, making the cut. So that's nice to see. Legend there. And Jason Sterner, Rob, 20th place there in a little bit of a weak field. I don't know.
How many?
20th place, Jason Sterner, 20th place. A little bit of a weak field, too. Ooh, I don't know, bro.
Maybe he's not even bowling. I mean, no.
Yo, Jason Sterner's always bowling.
I
you
know.
follow
He's a
him on
great bowler,
social
man.
media?
Yo,
He's
bad
practicing and
tournament.
practicing and practicing
on.
and practicing. I mean, it's
I'm not
ridiculous.
going to go hard on him. It's a bad
ridiculous.
tournament.
I see Charlie Tapp comment in the comments as well. We got to have him on. I gotta get to him an email. Charlie, we want you to come on and guest host with us. We invited you on, so we'll hit you up. Fort Sill Southwest Open, Rob. No surprise here. Jacob Buttruff wins it. I mean, it's like regional title number like a million for this dude. It's crazy.
Let me guess. Purple Hammer.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure. Good field though. Lavery Spar finishes third. Frankie Lavoie finishes fifth. Barnes finishes seventh. Wesley Lowe finishes ninth. My guy Stu Williams flagged the cut this week. So rough one for Stu. He'll be back out there again though. So kind of runs down the regional action for the weekend. We'll talk a little bit later about upcoming PBA action. We'll cover that before the end of the show, Rob. But right now, we want to have some fun. We got to skip for the people, Rob.
Yes, sir.
We got to skip for the people.
Yeah. What are we bringing back this week, Mike? We're going to do
It's the re-rack skit. It's the re-rack skit. Okay, you guys know how it works. We're going to discuss something that we think should make a comeback in bowling. Okay, make a comeback in bowling. Rob, I'm going to elect that you go first this week.
Okay, you got it. I would love to see them bring back the one game $1,250 entry high roller tournament. No losers bracket, just straight $1,250. You lose, you're out. Okay, you have to be a part of that tournament and of bowling for a one game match for $1,250 entry where first place was 100,000 or 200 to really understand what pressure and really understand what bowling with like nerves and also the intensity and the crowds. Okay, anybody who's ever been a part of that atmosphere knows that was the best tournament to ever grace the lanes, in my opinion, amateur or pro. Okay, because you had people that were averaging 160 that were beating 220 average bowlers. The shot was impossible. Okay, everything was impossible about that tournament. The crowds were huge, dude. Bring back the high roller, bro. 1,250, no losers.
Well, you're not just saying bring back the high roller. You're saying bring back the highest version of the high roller.
Oh yeah. I'm talking
you're
before
talking
they started
about, like, the high action, high entry fee.
Yes.
High roller.
Yes. Where anybody who would bowl, and there were people that you'd never seen bowl league would bowl maybe once a month that would bowl that tournament. Because, dude, one game match, and they were brutally impossible, the lane conditions. You had to bowl. You had to know what you were doing. Even if you didn't know what you were doing, you ran away Brooklyn 6 times. Or you went through the nose and you squashed 3 in a row, man. It happened all the time, and it was amazing to watch. Here's the kicker, though, is now you stream it, right? Because the streaming was never able, that technology wasn't available during that time, right? You stream it for free, right? I don't want to talk about any kind of paid streaming service. You stream it for free, and you watch the magic happen with these one-game matches, and it'll be just amazing. So that's what I want to see brought back. That's what I want to bring back.
I'm with it. I mean, you could make like a whole TV series out of that.
Yep, dude. No? Oh, the reality show you could make on that tournament.
Like that reminds me of like some World Series of Poker shit.
Oh, dude, right? I have the craziest stories about the high roller matches. Myself bowling.
Here's the thing though. It's the entry fee, though.
Yes.
Right? That's what it is. It's the entry fee. Like, I say, I'd like to see it at like 5,000. I mean, put it something even a little bit higher. Or maybe maybe $3,000.
They tried to do the $1 million tournament, and that failed miserably because it was in Reno, and it couldn't do it. But the aura of the showboat and the castaways, right? The place was a shithole. But it was awesome, like event, because of just the atmosphere. You could put that tournament into probably the South Point Stadium, right? It's probably doable.
I agree with Tommy Gamble in the chat. It's got to be the East Coast. I think you got to bring that event to the East Coast, Rob. It's got to have that It's got to have that East Coast vibe.
Bolero, where you are, right, Cavalier, would be crazy to have it. You know, maybe you have two of them. You have one in Vegas, one in Jersey, and then the top, 64 of each tournament go and you bowl one big mega tournament, right, somewhere. Look, you asked me what I wanted to bring back, and bring back the monster burgers at the Showboat. Fucking monster burgers. Bring that back too. Start a hashtag, people. Bring back the monster burger.
You just up the ante. You just up the ante, and we were on the same vibe because I'm going to talk about something similar. But then with your comment about bringing back the burger, whatever
the monster burger, man.
Yeah, I will top you on that one too. I'll try and come and match you for the. You gave the people a 2-for-1. You gave.
I want the monster burger.
I'm going to try and give them a 2-for-1 too. So here's what I want to bring back, and it's bowling tournament related too. Back in the day, I want to re-rack on midnight marathons. That's what I want to re-rack on. I want to re-rack on midnight marathons. Back in the day, Carolier lanes, midnight start time, 8-game marathon starting at midnight. Okay, you're bowling all night. You're bowling until 3, 4 in the morning. Okay, a lot of action, a lot of bowlers there, a lot of action afterwards even. And, it was just convenient. It was just convenient because it's like it's a midnight marathon. What are you doing anyway? As long as you can and staying up. Like, I know we're getting older. I just turned 40. You guys are going to be 40 soon. Some of us here are over 40. We won't name names. But, like, once you're at the bowling center and you're bowling, the adrenaline's flowing, man. There's just there's no shutting it down. Like, I don't care if I get done at 4 in the morning. Like, I'm staying up until 7 o'clock just because the adrenaline has to come down.
You forgot the most important part of the midnight marathon. The trip to Wohop afterwards. The trip to Wohop after.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say, right? Not only do I want to bring back the midnight marathon, I want to re-rack, and I know some people in the chat are going to appreciate this. I see some people in there. I want to re-rack on good bowling alley snack bar food, son. Bring back the good bowling alley snack bar. Let me tell you about one of the best bowling alley snack bars ever. Roosevelt Lanes. Ed Mata, tell him about it in the chat. Okay? Roosevelt Lanes. The snack bar was so good, I used to go there to eat dinner when I wasn't even bowling. I would just go and get dinner there. That's how good it was, right? So,
dude,
bring back the midnight marathon.
Absolutely.
Bring back the quality bowling alley snack bar. Okay, and let's combine those two things together for a midnight marathon quality meal at the snack bar that stays open all night because everybody's going to eat there afterwards.
Dude,
okay?
Maple Lanes in Brooklyn.
I represent the big people, Dave. That's fine. Say what you want, okay?
Maple Lanes in Brooklyn had it.
Right, Dougie? Roosevelt snack bar. I mean, it was something special over there. No joke.
Dude, if anybody knows they lived in Brooklyn, Maple Lanes had one of the best snack bars too, man.
What was their specialty? What was their specialty?
Honestly, dude, they're French fries. I'm telling you, man, their French fries were the best, dude. But you had to get them right off the fryer, and they also had like homemade specials, right? They used to make like pot roast, and depending on what day it was, man, it was a restaurant, and it was just set up where you bowl pot games, you get a chicken parm sandwich, man, or hero, I should say. And you French fries, dude, and you bowl pot games and you eat, and you have to eat with your left hand, Mike, because you can't eat with the right hand. So,
sure.
I'm with you, dude. I love that shit, dude. I love the bowling ice. I grew up on that, dude. Man, I haven't had a good bowling alley snack bar food in a really long time.
These days it's just all frozen bullshit.
Yeah,
it's all frozen bullshit.
It's all frozen shit, man. Bring back the monster burger.
I'm talking Laurel Lanes that had the best pizza that you'd ever had. I mean, the bowling alley snack bar had the best pizza you ever had. That's what I'm talking about.
Yo, Robert, there was a White Castle right next to Americana Lanes in Queens, bro. We used to bowl high school matches. We used to eat White Castle before the matches, okay? Mike, I was cleaning out settee areas. I would lift my leg, just let it rip. Everyone would clear out. And now you'd be looking around like, oh, who did it? Like.
All right, so that's the re-rack for this week. Couple things we want to bring back. We gave you a 4 for 2 there, so you should be happy.
Yeah.
Rob, let's talk upcoming PBA action.
Sure.
talk upcoming PBA action. We got, as we were discussing hypothetical, theoretical finishing of the PBA season last week, if people were paying attention in the chat, some of the players were coming in and confirming that what we were saying was true, that the PBA is going to finish the last year's season in the Virginia area when they're doing the team event, and a lot of it's going to be taped to air on TV. So you got the team event coming up, Rob. I know you wanted to throw out there for the people some news from Fox, yes?
Yeah, PBA.com posted a story. It was probably maybe even like a couple weeks ago, but I don't think we got to talk about it. They're making history, obviously, with 12 teams. They're actually going to be filming live and doing, I believe it's seating round. They're doing a bunch of shows that are live for qualifying. And I'm trying to get the details because I was reading it earlier, but it's 4 days of live competition on FS1 starting on September 26th. So, I mean, hopefully it's a little bit better than the live shows that they did on CBS Sports, because, I mean, those were a little bit like kind of mundane, and I don't know a lot of people that actually like watching qualifying, but Elias Cup and team event maybe has a little bit better chance to being a little bit more fun to watch, I guess. So we'll see, but
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I'm more interested to see like the schedule of the taped shows that they're going to finish from the World Series and the playoffs. So I guess I'll wait until that hits to kind of comment. But we did want to let people know. It seems like Fox is kind of giving them a little bit more time, and there is going to be some bowling on coming up this winter. So it's nice to see that. And for those of you that want to follow, we're here to kind of give you that info and fill you in. So yeah, I personally, Rob, I'm all for it. I can't wait.
I know. Well, you like everything the PBA does, so
I know. Dougie's
look at a shameless plug.
Dougie's putting a shameless plug, so we'll put it out there for him. No, shout, man. He's been having some good matches. I was watching him.
He's doing his thing, man.
Kyle Troop on there, bowling.
Yeah.
Dougie, come on,
grind,
show
man.
more of the bowling, man. Show more of the matches, will you, please? Come on,
definitely doing his thing, man.
I'm a bowling nerd, dog. I want to see the bowling. No offense. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I kind of like watching him do shots and chicken tenders, man. That's good.
I know. See, I'm in the minority there for sure, right? Like, I know most other people want the entertainment. I want to watch the nerd.
But the funny thing is, he's eating everybody else's food, Mike. He's not not eating his own food. He's eating everyone else's food. He says, "Yo, let me get one of those tenders."
True.
And they can't say no because he's on camera.
Right. All right, Rob, we kid around a lot here, but there was also some sad news in the bowling world this week. You want to put it out there?
Yeah, absolutely. It was sad for me to read that Dick Ricker passed away. And we actually, we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. We talked about it when Kelly Kulik was on, and we've brought his Dick Ricker bowling camp up so many times while we were doing this show, and he had such a important part of my bowling upbringing. Me and both my brothers and my family, we used to go up every summer and spend the week at his bowling camp. And Dick Ricker was Mike. He was A-class all the way. The guy treated me and my family with nothing but respect, and he was one of the most humble guys you've ever met. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Dick Ricker and his family and his friends and anybody who was close with him. But Mike, if it wasn't for Dick Ricker, I wouldn't have been as good of a bowler as I was. It's just sad to see someone pass away that had such an important part of your upbringing in your life. So, just a sad to read that. So, thoughts and prayers go out to Ricker and the Ricker family.
True, and I know Jeff put up a very nice post on Facebook as well about how much of an effect just going to the camp had on the path that his life took. So, I know you guys were very impacted by that experience. I went to the camp as well. Had an experience right behind me. You can't see it; it's off the camera right now. But there's a picture with Dick Ricker from the camp. So I had that experience as well. So yeah, definitely condolences to his family and a big loss for the bowling community. Guy was a legend. Guy was a legend in the bowling community, one way or the other. So,
Mike, there was a great story, and my brother tells about Dick Ricker about one day in camp, he was trying to teach something to somebody, and Dick Ricker retired early, and it must have been, I don't know, Jeff, maybe if he's in the chat room, he could probably tell it better than me, but he hasn't thrown a ball in like 20 years at this point. Like he really retired. He picked up his shoes. He never bowled ever again. And he was trying to teach someone, and he literally picked up a bowling ball from the rack, got up, 2 steps through the ball, dead nutted it, high flush, and all the coaches had their mouths open because they were like, the guy hasn't thrown a ball in 20 years. And he was just able to get the ball, pick it up, get up there, and just throw it and strike. So the guy just was, an amazing bowler and in person. So just a cool story about him. Yeah, for sure.
True. All right, Rob, last thing we got for the people tonight is Wheel of Answers. You sweep the rack, Wheel of Answers. You bring up the wheel. I'm going to respond to a couple comments here. Be there live. Son, you're traveling all over the country trying to bring the people action bowling. Show the action bowling. What are you talking about, be there live? You're in Florida, son. You're in North Carolina. Hey, ain't go down there. If it was a Carolina, I'd be there live, obviously. But, you're all over the place. So bring the people the bowling. And, we got Joey Bell-Bottoms trying to start trouble. Don't start trouble over here on our show, Joey Bell-Bottoms. Take that elsewhere, all right? Come on. Let people get their shine, will you? My goodness.
Mike, I'm running into some technical difficulties right now that
Oh, no.
My cursor is spinning, not the wheel.
Oh no!
So give me.
All right, then let the cursor spin, and wherever the cursor lands, we'll answer. No.
Yeah, no, it's not. I don't know. It's not responding right now, my Chrome. So I'm afraid I'm going to crash here at any minute.
Oh my God! Look, Roy Munson in the chat. Holy shit! Real celebrities here. We're getting credit from Roy Munson. I love it.
The rubber man's in the. But yeah, so real quick, while I try to get this spinning, there was an interesting Facebook post that EJ Tackett put up, and I don't know if you want to really talk about that real quick while I can get this wheel spinning. But he had a comparison to Tiger Woods and Belmonte, and he put it side by side of all the majors and what Belmonte has done in the sport in the majors and what Tiger Woods has done in the sport, and it was just an interesting kind of like topic for me because we've talked about that before. And it's more of the fact where like Tiger Woods, was hitting drives and was doing a lot of things on the golf course that a lot of people haven't seen before. And I feel like, let alone Belmonte having just as good as numbers as Tiger does in the sport, like when it comes to like earnings and not earnings, God, no. I mean, talking titles and just places. Belmonte has changed the way of the sport, just like Tiger changed the way of his sport. So I feel like that's also a fair comparison to make.
Did Tom Smallwood get dropped? I didn't see that. Did Tom Smallwood get dropped? We got to do some research on that. I'm assuming he did if no one's asking that, but I don't know. There's not enough news about the ball company stuff. If he got dropped, right. I hope he gets picked up. Back to your question, Rob. Back to your question.
Yeah. So Tiger Woods.
I think it's a fair comparison to a point. The impact that Tiger Woods had on the sport of golf, I'm not sure it can be understated or measured, across the board, no matter what way you want to talk about it. Now, has Jason had a monumental impact on the sport of bowling? No question. Is he comparable to Tiger Woods in terms of wins and majors? Yes, absolutely. But has his impact on bowling grown bowling the way that Tiger Woods' impact on golf has grown golf? No. And that's why I say to a point, I'm okay with that comparison, but I think you got to draw the line somewhere. I hope that it continues that trajectory and maybe that's where he ends up. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Tiger Woods brought, fans to the game of golf before that had never been interested in golf whatsoever, and masses of them. I mean, he made golf a massively popular sport, and we haven't really seen that kind of impact with bowling. I think Belmonte is massively popular because of how he throws the ball and some of his social media prowess, but I don't think that has translated down to the actual impact on the sport itself.
Okay, so here's a question, and I mean, it's a really scary.
We got breaking news going on in the chat, though. So we'll come back to it, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, so Joey Bell Bottoms, I'm the same way. I watched golf when Tiger Woods was at his peak. I don't watch it anymore.
Here's a question now, and this is a scary question to ask these days. But if Jason Belmonte was not a white man and was Tiger Woods, if he was, I don't know, half black, half Asian like Tiger would be, would that have grown the sport more for bowling?
I don't know. I it's so hard to say. I'm going to say no, just because I'm not sure that there's enough eyes on it to begin with. So yeah, I would have to say no. But
okay, it's a fair question because like Tiger just had like the fire too, right? And I feel like that's why Tiger was so interesting to watch. And it wasn't because if it was race or whatever. It was because Tiger was fiery, right? And he was must-see TV when he was on a final round on a Sunday of a major, because of what he could do and his skills, but also of his think about those fist pumping moments where he would hit these 30-foot putts and he was yelling and cheering, and I used to love watching Tiger on the last round of a major. To me, it was the best time of golf. And I don't think it'll ever be the same.
And look at what you describe. It's the emotion, right? It's the fieriness, right? It's a lot of what we talk about all the time here in terms of bowling.
It is.
Yeah.
So real quick, I can't get the wheel up, and it's gonna crash my computer. So I'm just gonna pick one from the wheel.
All right, Rob's picking for the wheel. It's Rob's pick tonight. But Rob, hold on. Before we do, we got breaking news. It seems like Tom Smallwood left Radical, Brunswick, etc. Some people are saying it looks like he's going to sign with Motive. We saw the thing about Andrew Anderson, but that wasn't a big deal because he was already on Brunswick. They just put him on the Radical brand as opposed to the Ebonite brand. I
kind of feel like that's a good move for Smallwood. I kind of feel like he never really performed that well with the Radical stuff, honestly.
Oh, I think he was probably outperforming the bowling balls.
Yeah,
I feel those balls are not. I've thrown a lot of their stuff, and some of it is very good, but I'm not sure that you have the same kind of arsenal there that you have with some other companies. So it should be interesting to see, because he's in the hunt a lot. I mean, he's there right outside the show a lot. So
I'd like to see him sign with Storm, Mike. I like to see what his Storm ball would do in his hand. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen him really throw a lot of Storm. Even when I knew him, when he was bowling in an amateur in college and stuff, I don't think he ever threw a lot of Storm balls. So I maybe there's a reason for that, but I'd be curious to see what some Storm stuff would do in his bag. But now this is how many companies can he go to? You have 12 brands of Brunswick. You have 12 brands, and you have one Storm, and
you got three brands
of Storm, 12 of Brunswick. And you got poor Motive there as one Motive trying to keep their head above water.
The Big Ball Company, is that what it was? Big Idea Bowling or whatever it was.
I think COVID killed that big idea. I think I don't know. I haven't seen her.
Yo, you're so mean, son.
Dude,
you're so
mean. Saying what it just was a bad time. I mean, what are you gonna do? I was talking to my brother the other day, and I was telling him how EBI sold at the right time, right? It was like a month before this whole shit went down with COVID. So there's somebody in Ebonite sitting back on, man, I'm so happy I sold.
True.
So I'm gonna talk. Let's do the wheel. I spun the wheel on my own screen here, and I want to talk about our best gambling story, because I don't think we've talked about that.
I've talked about my best gambling story on here.
Did you?
Yeah, before. But
okay,
that's
so should I
no, go ahead. No, that's fine.
So I got a good gambling story that actually happened during the January Super Bowl High Roller. It was me and Bill O'Neill. We decided that we were going to put 3 parlays down on the Super Bowl. We were going to do 2 6-team parlays and 1 7-team parlay. And we put $20 total on the 2 parlays and $10 total on the 1 parlay. It was the year the Panthers were playing the Patriots, okay? And we had 6 of the 7 parlays won, or not parlays, 6 of the 7 teams of won. We needed Panthers to kick a field goal. We needed Vinatieri for the Patriots to kick a field goal to win. And he ended up winning, and we ended up winning a 7-team parlay with the final score of 32-29. I'll never forget that score, for $900 on a $10 bet during the Super Bowl High Roller. Bill was bowling a sweeper. I decided to skip the sweeper to watch. This High Rollers actually ran a sweeper during the Super Bowl. It was like, if you didn't want to watch the Super Bowl, you could bowl it. So I remember running down to Bill and showing him a ticket, and we were literally jumping up and down in the concourse because we just won $900 on a $10 bet, like during the High Roller of the Super Bowl. So to me, that was my best gambling story, because that's actually one of my favorite memories with Bill too, of us gambling, because we never win. We would never win whenever we corp together, and anytime we ever bet any kind of money together in a corp, we always lost.
Yeah, thanks for telling me that before we formed the bowling betting corp, asshole.
No,
Thanks.
But I'm talking, Bill wasn't in that corp, the betting corp. It's not me.
I know, but you're in it. Maybe you're the common factor. Maybe you're the mush. Maybe you're the one we need to put in the bathroom. What do you think about that?
No, I was hot this weekend during betting sports. I started betting hockey, Mike. That's my new sport.
Rob told a $900 betting story. I'm going to tell a $300,000 one. Okay.
Oh yeah, you told this one before, but hey, look.
So I'll give
I'm not
this
a big timer
one.
like you.
I'll give another one just quickly. It was Bill O'Neill's bachelor party weekend. Short of it is that it was Kentucky Derby. We decided to put a bet in. We had no idea what we were doing. The person who went to put the bet in, we just picked 3 horses, at random odds. The person who went to put the bet in had never really put a horse bet in. They did not have enough money to cover the bet straight and box. So they just did it straight, and it came out, but it came out box, and it didn't come out straight the way we had it. And if we would have boxed it, we would have won about $350,000, I think it was, between 4 or 5 of us. So that was sickening. So yeah, there's a good gambling story for you. Positive gambling story. I've up at that time when the Eagles played the Patriots in the Super Bowl the second time a couple of years ago. Up to that time, I had never bet on a professional sporting event other than bowling. I had never bet on a professional sporting event. And in that Super Bowl, I was feeling confident. I felt it was the Eagles' time. I felt that they were a team of destiny. And I put I put $5,000 on the Eagles' money line to win 14 G's back in that game. And it was the first time I had ever bet on a professional sporting event. So I celebrated like a wild man for about 2 weeks afterwards. From that weekend in AC with the wife, where we dropped some dough celebrating that win. And listen, I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but my dad was a huge Eagles fan. Watched all the Eagles games. My dad, and a week before the Super Bowl, I had a premonition where I heard his voice tell me that the Eagles were going to win. And I felt super, super confident in it. And yeah, I really felt like it was a team of destiny. So I put it on the line, big cash in, big cash in. First time I ever bet on a professional sporting event too.
That's pretty good.
Kentucky Derby's this weekend because it's moved back. I was going to say, every time the Kentucky Derby comes around this spring, I think of Bill's bachelor party, but I think of that 6th story.
It's pretty crazy.
So, yeah, Joey Bellbottoms, here's another part of that story. I was actually saving for a house at that time. And I told my wife, like, I had this premonition and we were saving for a house. I told her I want to take some of the money that we have saved up for the house. I want to bet it on the Eagles because I know they're going to win. And she didn't believe me. And I told her, I said, you know, I had a premonition and like I heard my dad's voice tell me that they're a team of destiny. And, you know, she let me rock with it. And
That's
yeah,
awesome. That's crazy.
we were able to boost the savings up pretty quickly on that one. So that
Dude,
was
you're
that
a
was
maniac. You bet the house.
nice hit.
You literally bet the house.
I did. But I'm telling you, like I was super. And then let me say so. Like I didn't sweat it at all. Like even when Brady was throwing up the Hail Mary, everybody around me was sweating it. They were all sweating bullets, dropping down to the floor. I was at my brother's house in Philly watching the game. I wasn't sweating it at all. I was ultimately supremely confident that we were going to win that game. It was it. It was crazy.
Were you one of the people that were riding on the telephone pole? Were you trying to knock it?
I was amongst those people. I wasn't on the telephone pole, but I listen. I have videos in my phone. I swear to God of that night. And there's people at the intersection and they're chanting, "Tom Brady can't catch. Tom Brady can't catch." I mean, it was crazy. It was wild. God. It was wild. I may have been doing some illegal things. I'm not going to admit to anything, you know. But yeah, you can catch me out there.
If the Jets ever won the Super Bowl, I can't tell you that I'd be doing all legal stuff either. So, I'm
true, absolutely. So, all right, guys, that's what we got for you tonight. We're gonna log off. It's my first day of virtual teaching tomorrow, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So, yeah,
I'm having technical difficulties, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to run a close here. So.
Shout to everybody. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Hit us up. Sweep the Rack on all platforms. Follow us on social media. He's at Brooklyn Rob. I'm at the 2 on 5th on Twitter. Get at us. Let us know what's good. We'll catch you next week. Peace.
Later.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring